Hey everybody, Questwise here, and we are here at Palladium Books Open House 2018, and it's mind-blowing. It's amazing. We're having such a great time. I'm meeting some amazing people, old friends, new friends. We are playing games, we're talking about games, we're talking about art, and speaking of that, we have an awesome game designer with us here today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Brandon Aten. I've been writing for years, since 2004. I've done a number of things for Palladium Books. I've done things for Third Eye Games. We recently started our own company, myself and my business partner, Wet Ink Games. Wet Ink Games came out with Wild Skies Europa Tempest, which was our first game line. It's an anthropomorphic diesel punk setting. The first book is in Europe, and right now we're kickstarting the America book, the first expansion for the Wild Skies universe. So, yeah, we've had a lot of fun with it, and I'm glad to be here.
Nice. It's so good to finally meet you and stuff. I've been following your stuff for a long time, and it's always really great stuff. So how did you get started with Palladium? Like, what was your first sort of experience with them?
So, I've always played Palladium Books. The old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my very first role-playing game. I played that, and then I went and dove into Rifts, whole hog, in like 8th grade. And, I loved it. Played it all through high school and college. And then in 2004, I went to Origins, where I was able to meet Kevin and Wayne, and I was doing some volunteer work for WizKids. Played a lot of Mech Warrior at the time.
Nice.
And I'd recently sold a lot of my Palladium books so I could take a trip. I was going to Mexico, and ended up selling pretty much my entire collection. And I told Kevin that, told Wayne that, and we had a pretty good conversation. And then I was getting ready to leave Origins, and Kevin had asked, he knew that I had done some stuff for WizKids, was like, oh, do you have one of those Galactus figures? That'd be awesome. That's one of those things I want to see on my shelf. So I was like, yeah, I have one in the trunk. And so I traded Kevin this Galactus figure, and he was like, yeah, just take whatever you want. And nice. I was like, oh, what? And so went through, it was like a kid in a candy shop, going through, picking up, books. I was like, okay, I think this is a fair trade. And he's like, oh, no. And he just kept throwing books and books and books. I ended up leaving with like 3 boxes of Palladium books. Pretty much more than I had initially. He just, replenished my entire collection, signed everything. And we had a great conversation while everything was going on. And I was able to pitch him an idea that I had for an article for the Rifter, and it was in Rifter 28, and it was called Power Up the Vote, and it was how to run a political campaign in an RPG setting, and worked on that with Taylor White, and he was my partner for a number of world books and articles and stuff going forward. So I wrote Mad Haven with Taylor White, Triax 2. We were able to really expand some of these ideas that were touched on. We didn't really have a lot of world information about Triax and the New German Republic, so we used Triax 2 as a vessel to really flesh that out. Of course, have new toys and new robots and stuff like that. So we had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, it really was just I don't want to say a happy accident. The reason I went to Origins was to meet Kevin and the guys, and that's really how it went.
Yeah, same here. I actually I've been a long time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my first game ever. I got hooked. Heroes Unlimited, quickly into Rifts after that, and I met Kevin 2 years ago at Grand Con up in Grand Rapids.
Yeah. And
same thing. I just went up and introduced myself, and we ended up just. I played in one of his games, his fantasy game, and we ended up talking for like 2 hours afterward. And, I told him I wanted to do a couple things. I was thinking about doing this YouTube thing, and I was going to be doing some games and stuff. And it's been that ever since. So it's been a happy accident, but great times. If you guys have never been to a Palladium Open House, I hope they do these again. They don't do them every year. man, when they say it feels like a family reunion, it truly, truly does.
Yeah.
I met so many people that I've never met before in my life, and you just, because of the games, everybody here is for those games. They're here for Palladium Books, and it just feels like you've known each other your entire lives. So it's really great stuff. But
tell people about characters and campaigns and adventures and stuff like that. We even have like impromptu game sessions, after hours. There's all kinds of Palladium games that are run. You can play Rifts, Beyond the Supernatural, Splicers, and Heroes Unlimited, all kinds of games. And the cool thing is, it gives us creators an opportunity to maybe play games or play in sandboxes that we don't really play in. I ran a Beyond the Supernatural game that I had run once previously at Gen Con, but I don't play Beyond the Supernatural that often. It's not something that my regular gaming group plays, but it was a great opportunity. You got to really have fun with that.
Yeah, great stuff. I actually just picked up BTS2 today. I have the original one, and just talking to some of you guys, I was like, yeah, I got to do this.
Yeah.
It's such a cool game, and the great thing about Palladium Book stuff is that you can blend a lot of those things together and make your own kind of, your imagination is boundless with this stuff. So, yeah. But Brandon, tell us about Wild Skies a little bit. This is your own little project you're doing.
Yeah.
What's the basis behind? Like, what do you do in this game?
So, Wild Skies is, as I said, it's an anthropomorphic diesel pump game. Okay. If I had to give like a very short elevator speech, it's like if you took Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow and Disney's Tailspin and smashed them together. That's kind of the feel. The first book we wanted to put in Europe because we really wanted to explore this like post-Great War setting in this alternate future, or this alternate history. Not really alt future, alt past. This alternate history where the Great War didn't really end; it just kind of petered out, and so you have these factions, these groups that kind of, soldiers went back. They just left the front and said, "We're going to go back to our home. We want to actually have something to live for," and you had like these rebellions and these groups that took control that really reshaped what Europe really looks like. The Kaiser in Germany was kicked out for about a year, and then just the way that the year had gone with so much instability that effectively I don't want to say a unified government, but the unified voice of angry people said maybe the Kaiser would be willing to come back and establish some form of control in this flailing country, so we don't have it, fall in the hands of rabble. Things like that. We actually made the historical setting plausible, where it's some alternate histories are just so like completely off the cuff that you're like, okay, I mean, it's really an alternate history, but not really. We actually made it. We gave political reasons. We gave why these things would happen, but also everyone's an animal. That's one of the things that we really had fun with, and we made animal choice matter. There's some games where you'll play and you're like, oh, I get to be an animal, and it doesn't really mean anything other than like I look different in the setting. But we have different sizes of animals. Every animal has a unique ability. Some are combat oriented, some are socially oriented. We made it fun. And right now we have the America Kickstarter, Wild Skies Liberating Strife, where we take that and expand it into North America. We have a few more books planned out, outlined for the future. So hopefully this is going to keep going and keep going strong. We have incredibly talented writers and artists who are who have contributed to this. With Wild Skies specifically, the very first book, we got to use some of our Palladium connections and have some amazing artists that we already knew, and we knew their talent and skill level because they've been in these books all across the industry, from Palladium to Fantasy Flight, all kinds of awesome companies. The cover was done by Czech Walton, Chuck Walton and Eduardo Dominguez as the digital colorist. Mike Muma has done interior art. He actually, in the main book, has an 8-page comic. Amy Ashball has done stuff. Brian Manning did all the schematics for all of the different airplanes and everything. And we even branched out into some adventures. This is one of our PDF adventures that I printed out. It's called The Bear and the Brunhilde, and were able to test out some new artists that we hadn't really used before. That we wanted to see how they did, and we had a lot of fun with some of the ideas and stuff that came out of that. So, anyways, Wild Skies is a lot of fun.
No, that sounds really cool. I've always loved the anthropomorphic animal idea.
Yeah.
Always been a big fan of After the Bomb with Palladium setting. I love it when game companies take history and twist it and play with it a little bit. And it sounds like you did it very well. Like you didn't just go crazy with it and sky's the limit. But Wild Skies. But you kept it semi plausible, and it sounds like it's an awesome game. I don't want to give too much away because I want you guys to go out and buy this product, but I want you to. The one thing I want to mention is the moral compass, and
yes,
and you will. Like I said, I don't give too much away, so you'll have to buy the book to figure what that is. But it is phenomenal, and it is one of the coolest things I have seen come out in a role playing game in a long time. And this is the guy who brainchilded the whole thing. The moral compass thing is innovative. It's new. It's unique. And I think it's going to change the way that role-playing games are actually looked at in the future. So I wish you all the best with this stuff. Do you have any future plans with Palladium at all? You got any stuff in the works that you can talk about? Or?
I do have 2 manuscripts in with Palladium right now for the Splicer setting.
Yes.
And I have talked with Kevin about a number of ideas for Europe. One of the things I really set out to do when I started writing for Palladium was I really wanted to make Europe more playable. There was a lot of stuff out there, but it wasn't really as rich and developed as like North America was, or other areas of the world. So with Tri-X 2 and with the Sovietsky, we really were able to flesh that out. And it looks like the upcoming like Rift's Bestiary and might really add some a great resource for that setting. But one of the things I've talked about doing in the past is maybe like a DBs of Europe, kind of like they do a DBs of North America. Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily warranted at this point, but it's at least been talked about.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. If you're a Palladium fan, if you're a Rifts fan as well too, if you haven't checked out Sovietsky, damn it, is it a great book? It is so awesome. Getting to talk to these guys here at the open house, they have so many great things in the works that are coming out. If you're a fan and you haven't played in a while, now is the time to jump back in, because there are some amazing things in the pipeline coming down in the works. Or if you're a hardcore fan now, you're going to be blown away. It's going to be amazing. But if you haven't checked out some of the, I think Sovietsky is the brand, there's the newest thing, right?
Came out last month.
Great stuff. I'll be doing a review on this channel as well on that soon. I kind of got behind on my reading because I was getting prepared for this. I had to run a game today, but it went over really well, and now I'm free to do all sorts of this kind of crazy stuff. So, Brandon, thank you so much, brother. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I hope we get to do some more stuff like this in the future. So.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm Questwise. Till next time, I'm out.